Hello and welcome back to the Critically Clueless. I'm the Monk and today we are in Crusader Kings 3 and I'm doing another beginner's guide for you. This video is focusing on factions and trying to avoid civil wars. So if that's something you're interested in, then this is the video for you. And of course, if you do find this video helpful or entertaining, don't forget to hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel. We also have a few people in the Discord now that are playing Crusader Kings 3. So if you want to jump in and have more people to chat to and bounce ideas off, the link for the Discord will be down in the description. And as ever, guys, Crusader Kings 3 is a massive, massive game. There are so many small different mechanics that make up different parts of this game. So if I miss anything or don't talk about anything in enough detail for you, drop it down in the comments and I'll do my very best to reply back to you, or maybe even make a brand new video expanding. So we're going to talk about factions, and the problem with factions is the larger you get, the more kingdoms you get, the bigger you get, factions are going to keep forming and becoming an issue. Now, as you can see, we are an empire, and we have many kingdoms within our empire as well. And a big part of that comes managing your vessels. If you don't manage your vessels correctly and don't give them what they want, make enough of them happy. And considering right now, I believe we are sitting on 49 vessels, you know, it can be really difficult to keep them all in line. And of course, every now and again, if you don't keep them in line, if you don't keep them happy, they will make different kinds of factions. Basically, at the end of the day, taking a good chunk of land with you, or with them, if you don't sort it out. The good news is that it takes them a while to kind of get enough power to rebel against you or offer you an ultimatum. 9 times out of 10, they are asking for independence, and you can choose to give them that independence or fight them on it. And of course, if you give them independence, you're going to be losing a lot of land. In this case, we can see that this faction are close to offering an ultimatum. If they get to I think it is 80%, or at least this red line that we're seeing right here. If they get to that red line, they are then strong enough to offer you an ultimatum. And then, unfortunately, that's going to lead to civil war. Now, there's a few different things you can do to avoid this. And control is a big one. There's quite a lot of different perks you can actually pick up in the lifestyle trees. Most of them come from the martial line, but anything that ultimately gives you extra control over individual parts of your realm is really, really good, because more control means the peasants are in line. When the peasants are in line, they're not looking for a vessel to kind of, you know, lead them into independence. So have a little look-see through the lifestyle tree. I have done a few different videos listing and talking about the different perks and the traits in this area, so I'm not going to go over them too much in this video. Another way to do it, of course, is to have alliances. If you are family members, or if you have alliances, they cannot lead a faction against you. If they are imprisoned, they cannot lead a faction against you. Therefore, look at making alliances. Look at making problematic vessels disappear in another way or form. You can imprison them, you can kill them, and there's a few different things you can actually do to make sure that these guys don't stand up against you. 9 times out of 10, I try to get a good alliance with them. I personally play the game so I have a lot of children, so I have a lot of daughters that I can marry into different families. And again, if you are allied with them, they cannot stand up against you. So let's have a little look-see at this faction that's standing up against me right now. As you can see, we have 3 different vessels that are up against, and there's quite a few different counties that are going to be taking part in this. Now, it's unfortunate. I definitely don't want to lose, the chunk of land that I will be losing if it gets to this stage, and if they beat me, if I don't fight them. I really don't want to have to fight a civil war, because I want to be taking over more of the map, right? I want to be focusing on my dynasty. So civil wars are just not good for business. And there's different things you can do when it comes to countesses or counts that are kind of being problematic. They are very simple to deal with. The best way, or the best thing to do, is actually look at one of the, if they are on their own, or if in this case we have a Jarl going up against us, we have two countesses going up against us. So what we could do to solve this problem is take one countess and offer her as a vassal to the Jarl. Now, if you make them happy, they don't have a reason to rebel against you in the first place. So if we take this Jarl, for instance, and highlight her, it will tell you all the things that she does not like about you, or they don't like about you. In this case, there's nothing easy that I can kind of fix. She doesn't want a seat on the council, for instance. Normally, powerful vassals do want seats on the council, so pay attention to that, because if you, again, like I said, if your vassals are not happy, this is when they start forming factions. Like I said, this one doesn't want a seat on the council, but she is unhappy with me. So if I give her, for instance, one or both of those countesses as vassals, one, they're no longer there anymore because they're under somebody else. They can only rebel against their liege, and as I'm their liege, I'm the one they're rebelling against. If I make them someone else's problem, well, that's not going to be forming a faction for me. It would be forming a faction against her. So that's one thing I could do. I could give a countess to the Jarl. That would solve my problem instantly. Another thing I could probably do is straight up imprison them. We've already talked about before that if they are imprisoned, they cannot be in a faction as well. So that's something to look at. In this case, we're 100% chance of imprisonment. It's not always the case. I will get an act of tyranny as well, points towards that. That will give others more reason to kind of step up against me and form factions. It's also tyranny is another thing to kind of pay attention to. You don't want to get too much tyranny because it does give other countries a reason to stop you as well. So keep that in mind. However, imprisonment is definitely a valid option. I quite like doing that. Another thing to do is also, if imprisonment doesn't look like an option, murder doesn't look like an option, another really good thing to do is actually to go to your council. Let's back out of all these. Go to your council and get your spy master to find secrets on the vessels that are kind of going against you. Now, as you saw, we don't actually have that much time. The members here are pretty close to actually offering an ultimatum, so I kind of want this done and dusted now. So like I said, there are a couple of different things we could do. We do murder scheme, we could imprison someone, or we could offer up a vessel to someone. We're going to choose to offer up a vessel to someone just because it's the nicer option, I guess the less messy option. If you do choose to murder somebody who you have a low chance of murdering, the only thing I would say, as you saw, we only have a 10% chance to pull this off. So the first thing I would look at is the council. Make sure we go to support schemes. That supports our hostile schemes. If you are married, go to your spouse. And of course, you could also get them to support Intrigue. These things will have a percentage impact. You can then go to your scheme. As you can see, we went from 10% to 25% just by changing those two things we did in our council. And of course, we can remember to invite different agents. In this case, we've got no option. We cannot improve, unfortunately, with this target. But it's kind of hit and miss. It doesn't cost you anything to try out a murder scheme. If you don't end up having the agents, then just cancel the scheme. absolutely no problem. Like I said, in this case, we actually have a few different options, but I wanted to touch on the murder schemes because, of course, again, if that vessel doesn't exist anymore, they can no longer be a problem. Let's go into our faction real quick and have a little look-see. So we are going to give her a vessel. So let's have a look at this person's name, Countess Martina. We'll go all the way down here and we will give her a vessel, and we're looking for Countess Martina. And 9 times out of 10, when it comes to having multiple vessels that are the problem, just realized I've been looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, when it comes to having multiple vessels as the issue, if you quell 1, maybe 2 at most of those vessels, the faction will very quickly disappear. So we will do this. We'll grant the vessel. 1, one of those vessels are gone, not a problem anymore. And 2, another one of those vessels are happier with me, less likely to form a faction against me. And as you can see, it did just say that the faction that was targeting me has now disbanded. So us doing that solved the problem. If we have a little look-see, boosh, we no longer have any factions against us. When we play our game, it can be so easy in the mix of, battles or conquests or marriages, managing our money, our lifestyle, our dynasty points. There are so many things to look at. It can be really easy to forget to even look at the factions tab. So every now and again, a big tip to you guys is just have a look, see what's happening in your kingdom. If there is unrest, 9 times out of 10, there will be a faction here. You cannot have a civil war without a faction, so have a little look-see. And just make sure you manage those factions well. Like I said, there are different things you can do to ensure that your vessels do not form a faction against you. Marrying into the family, having an alliance, having them behind bars is, as you can see, I've been making the most of that. Having them as a friend or a lover is another great one. I believe this vessel right here had a faction against me not too long ago. I ended up making her my lover. We had a load of kids as well. But because she's my lover, she cannot head a faction against me either. So there's all different things you can do. A lot of them come down to Intrigue. I've also recently done a video about Intrigue. I have done videos about the lifestyle perks as well. So have a look at them if you want extra information. But I hope this video has helped. Hopefully I've kind of done it as simply as possible. Like I said, it can be really easy to get overwhelmed with these videos, have so much information thrown at you. I do try to make them as short and to the point as possible. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions about anything, maybe I didn't cover anything enough for you, pop it down in the comments, join the Discord, whatever you're comfortable with. And again, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, guys, I've been a monk, we've been a Critically Clueless, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy gaming.